Welcome, traveler. To know why Jesus calls himself a temple, you have to know how we live in heaven. We angels dwell in wonderful places in the afterlife, but ultimately, it's the state of our own minds and hearts that creates these places. And we live in amazing dwellings in these places, but again, it's our own minds that construct the very fabric of...
Hello.
Oh!
Hey, you want to know why Jesus called himself a temple? Everybody wants to know that. The kids in high school. When I was in high school, all the kids are like, the temple, what's going on with that, bro? If you want to know that, actually, we got a treat for you today because there's a backstory. There is a really satisfying, fulfilling backstory of why Jesus calling himself a temple is it's not a one-off. It has to do with the very fabric of how life after death works, the way the Bible is written. It's very much worth knowing because it's like a preview of the state of mind and life we're all trying to get into. And it has to do with, to start that journey, talking about the homes that angels live in heaven. Did you ever think about that? No, you didn't, but now, hopefully you're thinking about it a little bit. So what kind of homes are there in heaven? What kind of dwelling? Anywhere you have human beings, it's like food, clothing, shelter. What's the shelter like in heaven? If you want to ask what kind of homes are in heaven, which I know I'm the one asking that, you have to ask what kind of minds are there in heaven. Because in the afterlife, in the spiritual world, it's the mind that creates the building. So what makes heaven heaven? Everyone is in what you call heaven because they've opened their minds to the love and the truth that comes out of God. The more you have done that, the more you can be said to be in heaven. And because the mind makes the building, which we'll get to how that works, all the houses, the homes that angels live in are these amazing pictures of the kind of mind that's open directly to God's love and truth. So all of them are beautiful, and they're all different. All of them are different because every single mind of every human being is different, and every kind of heaven that mind can create with the Lord flowing through is different. So no two houses are ever alike. And they're different sizes, they're different styles, but they're also different in their locations. So we usually talk about heaven being like this. You have this outermost layer of heaven, middle heaven, innermost heaven. And like that's kind of true, but kind of not. I mean, it's more complicated than that. If you were to just walk up to any part of heaven, it would be more like this. The inmost heaven. If you had one piece of landscape in heaven, oh look, there's some mountains over there, there's some hills, there's a cliff, and you would have all the different heavens represented, and even the hells represented in this one space. So you'd have your highest angels, the heavenly or celestial angels that are most open to God, that we represent usually by that inner ring. They're living up in the mountains. Then you have the spiritual angels living in the hills, the natural angels living in the rocky places, and even the hells being right there, but underneath and directly opposite where the heavens are. This is how Swedenborg describes it. The angels who constitute the Lord's heavenly kingdom live for the most part in loftier places that look like mountains above the ground. The angels who constitute the Lord's spiritual kingdom live in less lofty places that look like hills, while the angels who live in the lowest regions of heaven live in places that look like rocky cliffs. And that's not because somebody said, well, you got to go live there. It's because actually the places themselves spring from the minds of the angels that are there. Just like buildings come from the mind, landscape comes from the mind. He goes on, these things also stem from correspondences, since the deeper things correspond to higher ones and the more outward to lower ones. So, man, that's the system. It's so consistent. So he talks about these being the deepest angels. Like these angels are most deeply open to God, and because of that, they're raised up higher. That connection raises them higher because God can be seen as both deep within and high above. That same process holds as you get less deep, you get lower, and hell is just a focus on the, hey, hello, there's my hand in there, in the hell cave. That state of mind that's represented here is just a focus and a reverence for the most outermost things. So it's like, I don't even care what's going on inside you. I just care about what I can get from you or how you look or something like that. So here you have the minds of the angels creating the geography. It's not really their minds, it's God coming through them and creating that. I mean, any of these angels, if they heard me say their mind creates it, they'd be like, what are you talking about? I didn't do this. This is God. What are you doing? What are you making this show for anyway? But you can say there's an appearance that it's through the different kinds of minds that each angel has that God's creative force creates the landscape that they're in. The same process applies to the houses in these different kinds of places.
Whenever I've talked with angels face to face, I've been with them in their houses. Their houses were just like the houses on earth that we call homes, but more beautiful. They have chambers, suites, and bedrooms in abundance, and courtyards with gardens, flower beds, and lawns around them. Where there is some concentration of people, the houses are adjoining one near another, arranged in the form of a city with streets and lanes and public squares, just like the ones we see in cities on our earth. I've been allowed to stroll along them and look around wherever I wished, at times entering people's homes. This has happened when I was fully awake, with my inner sight opened.
So there you got your suburban kind of, and then your urban angels. Is that the only options? Nope. He says in Heaven Hell 189, there are angels who do not live in communities, but apart, home by home. They live in the center of heaven because they are the best angels. I'm the best angel. Best meaning most loving, most wise, most open to God, most aware that they themselves are nothing that great, but that God is everything good and true. It's not that an angel who lives, or imagine like a family or at least a couple of angels that live isolated like that. It's not like they have no contact with others. That actually everyone in heaven has contact with everyone else in heaven because of the auras that go out from each one. It's kind of like the spiritual internet that actually everyone in heaven touches the life somehow of everyone else in heaven. We did this whole show. It was called Angels Speak Through the Aura That Radiates Through Them. Go check that out if you want more about that. Some angel homes, some of the buildings that are created through the minds of these angels are palaces. Heaven and Hell 185. I have seen palaces in heaven that were so splendid as to be beyond description. Let's describe them. These are some features he saw in these palaces. You had upper stories that were made of gold. The whole thing was gold. Lower stories made of precious gems of all kinds. Rooms were decorated with, quote, such lovely adornments that neither words nor the arts and sciences are adequate to describe them. Not even physics. Around those houses, there was parklands. He said they sparkled with silvery leaves, golden fruits, flowers that made rainbows of color, other gorgeous palaces framing the scene in the distance. So lots of opulent sounding stuff. But angels, and this is important because we're trying to emulate angels in our lives because that's what we're destined to become, aren't really into opulence. They don't really care about opulence. This is Heaven and Hell 186. Angels tell me that things like this and countless others, even more perfect, are presented to their view by the Lord. So things like the stuff in their houses and their amazing properties, but that such sights actually delight their minds more than their eyes, because they see correspondences in the details, and through their correspondences, they see things divine. Again, heaven is about depth, is about loving what really matters, what is deep, rather than loving what's superficial. So angel doesn't look at this palace that it's in and say, look at me, I'm so great, this is so cool, that's so expensive to make that. It's like, well, no, this is a picture of God. This is a picture of all the attributes of God. This is inspiring me to think and reverently and humbly of God. So that's why I love it. That's why it's great. It's pretty cool. So how do you make a house like that? Like, what is the from what substance do these buildings come? That's what we're talking about next. So what are buildings in the afterlife made out of? I'm not just going to say, oh, they're like made out of love. There's real... Okay, they are made out of love. But in the afterlife, love is a substance. It's a building material. There's love and there's truth. In everything, there's love and there's truth. Love is the underlying essence or the substance. Truth is that thing that gives that substance a particular form. So in each angel mind, there is a receptacle for God's love and a receptacle for God's truth called the will or the heart and the intellect or the mind. The acceptance of both of those things coming through that particular angel mind manifests. Like it's like, Play-Doh? When you gotta squeeze Play-Doh through like a little star-shaped thing and it comes out the other side star-shaped Play-Doh. So it is with God's love and truth coming through that whatever shaped angel. Then you got a what is it called? A 3D printed angel home. This is Heaven Hell 186. On this matter of correspondences, I have also been told that not only the palaces and the homes, but all the little things within and outside them correspond to the deeper qualities they receive from the Lord. So, let's say, no, this is not my daughter's thing, this is mine. Let's say this is your heavenly home. In general, the house itself corresponds to an angel's state of goodness. So whatever the state of goodness is in you, that has a form. And the form that it expresses as is the home that you're living in. The items in the house, let's say you got yourself a little nice table. Maybe you sit in a chair every once in a while when you're feeling fancy. And whenever you're thirsty, you got a teeny tiny little goblet. Come on, goblet. That's what I'm talking about. Those items in your house are the ingredients of that goodness. So like the particular things you love, the particular actions you take in your life, those manifest as the things inside that compose the home. The stuff outside your house, maybe you got some little stairs outside your house, those are the true concepts. The home is the good, the surroundings are the truth. These are the things you use, you look out and recreate with to live that life of goodness. The true concepts that come from goodness and the ways we have of recognizing truth. That's what creates the outer surroundings. That's what God's truth coming through you creates this. God's love coming through you creates that. Heaven and Hell 186, since these correspond to the good and true things they receive from the Lord, they correspond to their love and therefore to their wisdom and intelligence. These things being everything in and around in the structure of the house itself, all your living conditions. This, angels tell me, is the sort of things angels perceive when they look at their houses. And this is why these sights delight and move their minds more than their eyes. It's like I can know something about myself. I can be learning about myself here and learning about God because I'm seeing God come through me, the things he's trying to do in me. That's what's exciting about that. So we have established, my friends, my best friends, that in the afterlife there's a mechanism by which what's inside someone can be and is manifested into a building, in these cases a home. This is the same mechanism that leads to Jesus calling himself a temple, which is a house of God. In John 2, where this comes from, it says, Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and will you raise it up in 3 days?" Come on, man. But he was speaking of the temple of his body. Oh, man. Jesus says things that mean deeper things. Jesus speaks in correspondences. Well, you can look even deeper into that statement to understand that Jesus is not just talking about his body, but the divinely human state of mind that is the thing that animates that body. Just like with each of us, the spirit we have is what animates our body. So Jesus's will and understanding, which is the divine love and the divine truth itself, because Jesus is just God tamped down into a form we can interact with, that too can manifest as a building, as a temple of God. And actually in the book of Revelation, it describes the holy city, New Jerusalem. It says, I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord God, the Almighty, and the Lamb. That the heavenly city is a picture of God himself. It's a picture of God himself. The inner qualities of him made visible. And it's just like the heavenly houses that Swedenborg described from the beginning. The holy city is made of gold. Pearls and precious gems are its foundation. This is the way that a mind that is good and true represents itself. It represents a heavenly state of mind, just like the heavenly palaces do. All of it is a picture of God. Each one of us, the houses that our minds would make, is a little, like a one little part of that spectrum. This is a little bit of God. There's a little bit of God, and all together, these are the temples that we live in. So God is the source of the goodness in that state of mind, and so again, is called the temple. Something about houses is divine. If we're saying that ultimately buildings as they exist in the spiritual world, which the physical world flows from the spiritual world, so we're downstream from what's going on in heaven. Buildings there are a direct expression of the soul. They're an expression of the will and the understanding. Somehow that's God. This is Heaven and Hell 187. The architecture of heaven is like this, like everything we were just talking about. So you might call it the very essence of the art, of our architecture. And small wonder, since the art itself does come to us from heaven. If you ever go and see some house that like Frank Lloyd Wright or somebody built, and you say, well, that's cool, how did they think of that? It's because the angels with them live in those kinds of houses. That is where this is why we have the feelings we do about houses. This is why houses feature in our dreams. Like, it's more than just protection. It is connection to something, connection to God somehow. So houses in heaven, important. Can I afford one? How do I get one of these houses? The houses angels live in are not constructed as houses in our world are, but are given them by the Lord gratis, to each individual according to his or her acceptance of what is good and true. It's not arbitrary. This is the process by which love and truth come into a will and intellect and manifest as all will and intellect aspects do around them. They also change slightly in response to the changes of state of their deeper natures. Whatever angels possess, they attribute to the Lord, and anything they need is given to them. So the house undergoes renovations. As your mind grows and changes, angels are being perfected in love and wisdom to eternity. Learning never stops, growing never stops. So your house, you can actually know that you're progressing because you'll see, oh, look at that. That place is changing. Like, I'm getting there's a new window there. Look at those new curtains. I don't know exactly how it's like, but it evolves along with your mind. And importantly, you're not going to get stuck in some house that you don't really vibe with. Your house in heaven will feel more like your home than anywhere else you could possibly live, because it's literally you projected around you. And it will continue to grow and change as you do, so it will always be this amazing source of inspiration, comfort, and sense of place. It's always going to feel like this companion, this perfect place for you to live your heavenly life. If you want one, all you got to do is cultivate now the kind of heaven inside you that creates that home around you. So cultivate the heart and the mind that accept love and truth from God and want to put that out into the world. And then you've already really got that house in you and the potential there. And all it takes is for it to come into being in the life after death. Jesus said, "In my Father's house are many mansions." Each of us expresses, accepts, lives in one little part of God. One little part of that emanation from God. When Jesus is saying, I'm the temple of God, we're each doing that in our own little way. And together, all of heaven, which is represented by that New Jerusalem, that grand example of the temple of God, we can make a place where both God can live, but also God shows us how to live.